Yep.
Good morning and welcome to the Virtual Film Company Studio One in VR chat. And we're here today with our alien friend and mystery. And today we have a special anniversary. The US government has shut down again. And what is going to happen is anyone's guess. The other thing that we're going to be talking about is the arc that is still heading towards our planet to hopefully save us and take us away to a better place. As you know, things aren't going very well here on our planet Earth, and our alien friends' peace virus is turning out to be a little bit of a scam, perhaps?
It's not a scam. It's working.
Okay.
It's not instant, but it's working.
Well, I have to say that, possibly, we hopefully will see some peace in Gaza. And if we do, then I will concede to you and say it has worked or is working. But we also need to see peace in Ukraine and peace in the various African countries around the world and, peace in our own country.
I think you've forgotten to add as well the rapture that was happening as well. Like what happened with that? It seems like another news story that just came and went, So, and I know you were banking on peace there in that region. If Jesus was going to show up, that was where he needed to show up, and it's open to interpretation if he actually did.
Yeah, it did happen. Yeah, it happened. Rapture happened, and it was only applied. People would get taken to heaven if they were righteous Christians and never did a thing wrong or thought wrong. But the reason that no one actually went up to heaven is there are no righteous Christians. They all commit sins at some stage during their lifetime, so they weren't eligible.
Yes,
Interesting.
People have suffered from that as well. They should have been identified as ineligible to be raptured or whatever the term is when you're beamed up, because people quit their jobs, they sold their houses, stopped paying their bills simply because they felt that, why do this if I'm going to a better place? And now they have problems.
Well, let's not get too off topic here.
I was thinking of they were going to sell their houses and take the money to heaven with them.
Oh, yes. There's a special credit card that we, in fact, have in our store, the Virtual Film Company store, that allows you to take your money to heaven. So if you deposit at least $1 million with us, you will get a special heavenly valued credit card that can be used in heaven to buy anything that you desire.
Oh, goodness. All right, well,
I'll just transfer your house over.
All right, I think you guys are getting a bit off topic. I don't know if people are going to buy into that or whatnot. So let's start with the first news story, which you were delivering with. Let's start with that topic before we go to the next topic. That was our overview of what this episode is going to entail. So the government is shut down was your first announcement. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't follow the news enough to figure out how that would impact me compared to any other day that's taking place. So maybe you can enlighten us here, because I'm sure there's people out there in our studio audience really at the edge of their seat want to know about this.
Well, I think the important thing to consider here is whether the two-party political system that we have going here in the United States is valid. If we have a disagreement between the two parties in power that enable the government to be shut down indefinitely until, someone agrees to fold, and that's really what it's all about, is, blame game here. One party is blaming the other party. And, unfortunately, I can't say that I support either party at this point, because we are in dire straits here in the United States, and I think we need a sensible party rather than what we have. A party that looks after the people, that looks after this country, that is America first, and isn't something that one would see in a horror movie about insane people.
What happened to cooperation?
Well, if you're in one party, you will cooperate with whatever they say, even though, it could be a blatant lie, it could be a blatant untruth. And if you're in the other party, the same thing applies. And so, we need some common sense to prevail.
I mean, that sounds pretty logical there.
Yeah, one would think, right? One would really think that it's logical that if we want a great country, that we would all work together and all support each other, and not name call people, not put people down, not make our agenda to make poor people's lives harder and more difficult, not make our agenda to cut health care for people, and just work towards a better life for everyone in America. And this, I believe, is what has caused the other aliens, the aliens that you deny knowing, to be sending the Ark to Earth. And, just a reminder, the due date is around December 20th, I believe. We will have to check our calculations, but we are selling boarding passes in our store. And so make sure that you get a boarding pass before that date, because they're selling out very quickly.
Right. But before you switch the topic, I mean, I feel like if we're going to talk about that, I believe that there's a lot of people that fall into that category, that we want honesty. Like, I feel like that is where the world really is. There is an energy out there that they want authentic stuff. People are tired of being lied to. Like, I feel like the people who are lying need to be held accountable for their lies. Again, I hope you have not been sleeping well at night if you are one of those liars, because I have been feeding that energy. And with watching some horror movies, the spirit world also really caters to those people who are very unethical. Like, I really feel like, I hope you are not sleeping well.
Yes, lying seems to have become the new normal, that, let's just spin up whatever comes to mind and present it as truth. And, a certain number of people are going to believe it, unfortunately, because they aren't that well educated, they lack critical thinking skills, and so will lap up these lies, which is a very unfortunate situation, because, there's truth and then there's lies. There really isn't any in between. People like to say that, oh, there's a gray area, but I don't believe that.
I believe the satire market is just thriving with all of this, just creating the absolute nonsense, and people are entertained by it, but offended by it. It is a very weird time of the world right now.
Isn't it recently made it into American law about it's okay for politicians to lie? They're not doing anything wrong by lying.
Yes,
so it's been normalized.
Yes, no, that was a few years ago when the Supreme Court actually ruled that politicians can lie, and it's perfectly legal, which is a sad state of affairs as well, I think, where
that was a day that really needs to be reversed. Like, it is absolutely, like, hearing it, even, it just doesn't make any sense. And I think Comet, like almost everybody can agree on that, to where, like, how does something like this get through? Because the people would never support something as absurd as that. Like, I feel like, let's wrap this topic up on that. But if you guys have anything in closing, the nonsense that people don't need to tell the truth it's insane.
It is insane, but I think we also need to look at the First Amendment, which we have here in the United States, which is all about free speech. And I've always advocated that there should be free speech to a point, that when you start moving into hate speech, for instance, that shouldn't be free speech anymore. And if you're lying, again, that shouldn't be free speech anymore. You should be free to criticize and tell the truth about anything that's going on, but you shouldn't be able to belittle your opponents and insult them and make up stories about them. I think that's just beyond the pale, unfortunately.
Yes. Anything in closing before we move to the next topic about lying?
Well, I think, as you
It's a
said,
sickness.
it definitely is a sickness. Yes.
That's why the peace virus, one of the vaccine was to try to fix some of the hate that is going on out there, and maybe get the people to order that off the store, the peace vaccine.
Well, that's why I think the rapture failed as well, is that Jesus came down to earth and looked around and decided, no, as our alien friend said, everyone here is not worthy of saving, and decided to go back to heaven himself.
Yeah, there's not many people in heaven. It's pretty empty.
That's all open to interpretation. Again, that's something that I always relate the spirit world to, this packed audience that we have here, and the way the spirit realm works. There is a lot of mystery surrounding that. And again, people being real, telling the truth. There's certain topics that are very open to interpretation, and I think everybody should be able to have their own viewpoint on certain elements within certain topics, and we're in a very gray area, to say the least. So do we want to get to our next topic, though? Do you feel that this is appropriate? I think that we should move on to the latest update on the Comet, or ARC.
Yes. You still think it's a comet, do you? Are we going to continue to argue that point? I believe it's the ark that has been sent by our super alien friends, the ones that are more intelligent than the alien friends that we have here in the studio with us, and are coming to Earth. The question is, what will happen when they get here? They recently took on a power charge from the sun and are heading in this direction. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see what they're doing for the next coming month or two, I believe. And who knows what is going on in the background there. But again, we have tickets of all classes, from stowage to first class, that are available. So make sure you get your ticket today.
Yeah, but don't, because you can't really live on a comet. You perish in no time. And it is a comet, definitely is a comet. It's got a course. It's on a course. It's going to go past the sun. It's going to swing round, come back like comets do. The only difference is it comes from interstellar space. And we, in all our great wonder of knowledge and truth, assume that all space is the same. Well, space in this solar system, yes, okay, we can understand a bit. We're making new discoveries every year about the planets and our own space, but the closer the telescopes get to interstellar space outside our system, the more it doesn't make sense. So it's obviously different. It's got different compounds. It consists of different things, different energies. And that is the only thing about this comet. It comes from interstellar space. It's got different rules.
Wow.
It's come from an unknown place. And all the rest is a load of rubbish.
Here is alien intelligence giving its feedback on the Comet or ARC. The mystery will be revealed. It is going to be a few months of contemplation and We did see a video of that. I don't know if you remember it, but we picked up a signal, and you've seen them report to us here. So, I mean, you still don't believe that?
Signals were picked up months ago. Yeah, signals.
It
Just
was the
because we
video, though.
misinterpret it,
It
it's
was the
being
video,
misinterpreted.
though. You watched a video.
Video.
It
Has
was
it
on the
got
screen.
created in AI in the corner,
No,
and
I
in the other corner,
decoded that
3D
signal.
visualization?
I decoded that signal, and you still want to say it's AI. We got a short message from the captain of the ship, and we even were able to see what the inside of the ship, or the Ark, as I like to call it, looks like, and it was quite luxurious.
That's your interpretation of a signal.
I
Doesn't
felt
mean
that
it's correct.
I felt the thing that I took away from it was the astonishment of how friendly he was and welcoming, that it sounded like he was getting ready to invite people onto that ark.
Very amusing. Yes, Ark.
Yeah, so nobody's being invited, this isn't a free ride for everyone like the Rapture. This is special, and you have to pay for the privilege of becoming a passenger on the Ark.
Well, maybe you can get a.
What?
Are you still trying to get signals? Do you have any updates for any additional information besides the solar charge? Did that allow you to get any additional communication?
I've been working on a special plan where I'm tapping into some of the probes out there and hope to get a better signal shortly. I'm almost there. I'm still getting a lot of noise, but I think I've figured out how to decode it now.
If we're
Well,
not picking up signals from space junk, there's plenty of that coming around the planet.
Well, some people could say you are space junk.
I'm not a exploded piece of machinery. I'm a living creature.
a living creature. Well, I mean, to me, this talking about news and reporting information, this is a perfect example of what you're experiencing right here if you're watching this. There is two opinions. Is it a comet? Is it an arc? There is a complete mystery. One of these people is completely right. One of them completely wrong, unless it's appearing to be a comet, but actually an arc, and it's just using that as a cloaking device. Then technically, both of you are correct. So who knows how the story is going to unfold, but we will keep you posted.
Yes, and then, if we're looking ahead at comets, since we're talking about comets, there is another comet that is heading this way that might be on a collision course with the moon. A very small chance. I think it was estimated as 4%. But, please check that if you're interested in this topic. And right now, people or governments are discussing whether sending up a intercept, such as a nuclear missile, to blast this thing into little pieces would be appropriate, because if it hits the moon, then that is going to cause major problems. But if
Well, the government needs to come back to work before that will be resolved. So,
yes, there is that.
that is for another day. I
That
believe our
wouldn't
last
work anyway.
Oh,
Wouldn't work anyway. Just turn one impact into thousands of smaller impacts. That'd probably make it even worse.
depends where it would get destroyed. There's a lot of calculations within that whole thing, so more mysteries. So the final topic, what is the final topic that we had on today? The actor that has been created?
Or AI.
Yes, so AI continues to make roads into various industries. OpenAI yesterday published information about what jobs OpenAI could do right now. But the latest explosion, I suppose, against AI, or pushback against AI is probably a more appropriate word, is the AI actor Tilly Norwood, who has very much, irritated, SAG, AFTRA, and other people involved in the film business because they feel that their jobs are at risk. And my comment to that is yes, your jobs are at risk, and get on board and license your images, license your likeness, because if you don't, you're going to be left behind. This is the reality of AI.
Actually, with the start of this story, like as you're talking about that, we have a couch right there. Tilly, we'd love to have you on as a guest here to come in here and have an interview here in the metaverse. And you know, actually, I was getting a phone call right as I said that. I thought it was maybe you instantaneously tuned into this metaverse. It was not you, though. So, but I wonder if her ears are ringing right now, hearing us talk about her on this set. And yeah, I would be very curious to hear, to have an interview with her. I want to extend an invitation to see the future of actors because we've even entertained the fact on having with on our show. I think like there's been robots on shows in the past. Why not have one of these actors be a part of the interacting with actors? I think it's a fascinating perspective on what is possible.
Oh, there's a lot that's possible, but it's people feeling threatened again that they are going to be out of a job. And so, the pushback is that, this is a thing that is generated on a computer. It's a computer program. It was, and again, the typical response here against AI is that it was trained on the work of countless professional performers, or maybe I should be more, sad and say on the backs of countless professional performers. And, it has no life experience to draw from, no emotion. And, the conclusion that these actors have reached is that humans aren't interested in watching computer generated content because it is untethered from human experience. And it
Well,
can
that I think that's
Well,
open to
but
interpretation. What
indeed
were you going to
very
say?
much so.
you could call it fate. It's
Fate.
all fate.
Yeah.
Fake,
Fate.
fake, not fate. Fake, well, fated perhaps, but fake, fate,
Oh, see, like, but to me, where I wanted to
fake.
go, like with it being fake. So in this metaverse, let's say there's other portals and realms, and like for instance, we have seen versions of our podcast having other versions of ourselves that are focusing in another realm that we have had a frequency to communicate with and get this interpretation. So Tilly could be this being from another place that is transmuting the information into this world. Like we are in the infantile stages of could this be somebody working in another realm and sending their work into this realm? I mean, the multiverse has many possibilities that I feel like people are just using this. Oh, it's high level computers processing things, but you know, people want to talk about AI, and I feel like they've left the metaverse kind of as a afterthought, and this could be a portal that is also bringing a lot of this information in.
It could be, but I
No,
think the main problem is that people don't have a sense of history anymore. And I think that is the biggest issue here, where if you look back at certain technologies like photography, people were up in arms, oh, it's fake. And you know when the typewriter was introduced and the word processor was introduced, it put people out of business, it put people out of work. And as technology evolves, we continue to see people that don't adapt, people that don't look at what they could do to better themselves and learn and understand the technology and move forward. Those are the people that lose their jobs. Those are the people that get laid off because technology moves on. And, most of us, when we think of a technology, we think of our televisions and cars and airplanes and all of those wonderful things. And if I asked anyone, would you like to live in a world without all of those things? I'm sure there's a few people that would say yes. But most people are grateful for their television and what they see on it and TikTok and all of that. And that is all brought to you by advances in technology.
Yes.
Well,
I go ahead, Jolly.
an
What were we?
advance. Is it an advance? If I want to look at something on one of these TVs you're talking about, I have to turn it on. I have to sign in. I have to put a PIN code in. I get sent something on my phone to verify it's me by sending back a message. All I want to do is turn the telly on and watch it. I don't want all this nonsense. In the old days, I could turn it on, whatever channel it was set to, that was it. If I want another channel, I switch the dial around, another channel. Now, if I want another channel, I have to go through all that nonsense again.
Yeah, but you have
It's
to.
hardly an advance. It's the
Oh,
opposite.
it's so advanced. Go back 40 years and there was only like 10 channels that were available. That was it. So they were controlling everything that was being put out there there was a television frequency that you could tap into, and then you could buy subscriptions, and then maybe you could get, another 20 channels. Nowadays, if you look at it, there is so much content that don't even need to give the product placement out for that. So you're needing to get subscriptions because people are licensing content, and the copyright law, went into effect at some point in time. And I feel like, when you want to talk about history and whatnot, people who are making things and then not being compensated properly for it. I mean, these are the things that all need to be reimagined for where we are at right now, because there's a lot of content that has been created that I feel like has not been licensed properly. My interpretation.
There are an awful lot of channels to choose from, but how many of them are very good? I mean, the resolution has improved, yeah, that's clearer, sharper images. But how good is what you're watching? Most of it's a waste of time. You could be doing something much more enjoyable, doing other things.
Well, we're lucky here in the United States that we live in the land of the free. And so when you turn on your television here, you don't need to enter in special codes and get special permissions or have to buy television licenses. So, one of the big advantages of USA is television is available to anybody. You have to have a television.
So then you get 5 minutes of content and half an hour of adverts to pay for it.
Well,
how tedious is that?
Anyways, our time for today that we have been committed to is about to expire. Thank you for joining us. This studio audience was fabulous again. Another, it is just amazing and an honor to be here in the metaverse, this portal that is created for this information for all of you to consume out there. That part of the mysteries, intergalactic mysteries that, yes, we are all in different places of the world, but yet we are all here together in the metaverse. So as long as there's more mystery, we will always be here.
Yes, thank you for attending today, and we'll be back in a couple of days again. So stay tuned, and just a reminder that anything we say here on the show should be taken with a grain of salt, and I encourage people to use your critical thinking skills when it comes to any information that you consume.
Well said. Anything in closing?
Don't be taken in by fake news.
Yes.
There you go. Well, it's all open to interpretation. Thank you. Thank you. See you guys soon.